Imagine a scene straight out of an alternate history novel. The king of rock and roll, dressed in his signature flamboyance, striding through the solemn halls of the White House to shake hands with the leader of the free world. This isn't fiction. On December 21st, 1970, Elvis Presley, the epitome of American music and culture, met with President Richard Nixon, one of the most enigmatic figures in U.S. political history. The resulting photograph of their encounter has puzzled and fascinated generations, becoming the single most requested item from the U.S. National Archives. Welcome to American History Gazette, and enjoy the video. In the twilight hours of a December morning in 1970, Elvis Presley, driven by a sudden impulse and a deeper yearning for a role beyond the stage, embarked on a journey from the glitz of Los Angeles to the power corridors of Washington, D.C. With a handwritten letter in hand, penned on an American Airlines stationery, Elvis made his way to the gates of the White House, seeking an audience with President Richard Nixon. The guards were stunned, but nevertheless passed the letter along. At the heart of this narrative were two men: Elvis Presley, the unparalleled star whose every move captured the imagination of millions, and Richard Nixon, a political juggernaut navigating the complexities of a nation at a crossroads. Elvis, known for his magnetic stage presence and revolutionary impact on music, stood on the precipice of seeking more influence, more meaning, more ways to serve the country he loved. Nixon, amidst the turbulence of his presidency, represented the establishment, the very antithesis of Elvis's rock and roll rebellion. Elvis Presley's journey to the White House was fueled by a response that went beyond his status as a cultural icon. Deep within the king of rock and roll was a burning desire to contribute to the nation's fight against drug abuse, a battle he saw tearing at the fabric of American society. Armed with a self-initiated study of drug abuse and communist brainwashing techniques, Elvis felt positioned uniquely at the heart of the issue, ready to leverage his influence for the greater good. His mission was clear: to become an agent at large and to secure a badge from the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs, not merely as another collectible for his famed assortment of law enforcement memorabilia, but as a symbol of his commitment to leading America's youth away from the perils of drug addiction. To Elvis, obtaining this badge was about taking a stand, about making a tangible difference by aligning himself with the forces of law and order. However, it also meant that he could travel wherever he wished armed with guns and carrying whichever drugs he wished. The anticipation and skepticism that permeated the White House staff upon learning of Elvis Presley's unorthodox request to meet President Nixon added a layer of intrigue to an already unprecedented situation. The initial disbelief that the king of rock and roll, in all his cultural significance and flamboyant persona, genuinely sought an audience with the president created an air of amusement and curiosity to the situation. Inside the Oval Office, the dialogue between Elvis and Nixon unfolded with a surprising depth and earnestness. Elvis articulated his concerns about the country's youth and the growing drug problem, offering his influence as a tool for positive change. He passionately argued for his role in the anti-drug campaign, underscoring his commitment with a critique of the Beatles, whom he accused of fostering an anti-American sentiment. Adding to the uniqueness of this encounter was Elvis's unexpected gift for Nixon: a World War II Colt 45 pistol. Despite the initial dismay and security concerns of the Secret Service, this gesture turned out to be a poignant symbol of respect from one patriot to another. Nixon, with a known appreciation for historical memorabilia, received the gift with much gratitude, and later penned a heartfelt letter of thanks for the gift to Mr. Presley. As their meeting drew to a close, the time came for the now iconic photograph to be taken. Standing side by side, the president and the king of rock and roll posed for what would become the most requested photo from the U.S. National Archives in history. It was after this photo was snapped that Elvis, moved by the moment, did something unexpected. He put his arm around the president and hugged him. This gesture of warmth took Nixon by surprise, but underscored the genuine connection that had formed between them during their brief encounter. In the aftermath of Elvis Presley's unprecedented visit to the White House, the building buzzed with an energy and excitement. The king of rock and roll's presence had an immediate and lighthearted effect on the White House staff, transforming the usually reserved corridors of power into aisles of astonishment and curiosity. Secretaries, often the unsung heroes of the West Wing, found themselves momentarily distracted from their duties, swooning over the unexpected guest. Elvis, ever the charmer and with a flair for grand gestures, didn't miss the opportunity to leave a lasting impression. Planted a kiss on one of the secretaries, a move that surely made for an unforgettable day at the office. The rendezvous between Elvis Presley and President Nixon remains one of those singular moments in American history where the lines between celebrity and politics blurred into an unforgettable climax. The fact that Elvis could walk into the White House on a whim, with a mission to contribute to national issues, and leave not only with a cherished badge, but also with stories that would captivate generations, speaks volumes about the era and the openness of the American spirit. This story, with all its quirks and charm, continues to resonate not just because of the stature of its characters, but because it reflects a unique facet of American culture where worlds can collide in the most extraordinary ways. It's a narrative that encourages us to find common ground with our shared humanity, to appreciate the lighter moments of history, and to remember that behind the public personas are individuals with hopes, desires, and a sense of duty. And that is the bizarre story of when the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, showed up to the White House to meet President Richard Nixon. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. If you want to see the Elvis and Nixon movie that you saw clips of throughout the video, that is going to be in the description. If you want to support the channel, our Patreon is also in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on our next adventure.